accompanied me on a number of dates, and we're old and very good friends.
Aretha Franklin was more than a voice. She was an era, a force that reshaped music and culture. Her songs echoed through generations, carrying power, pain, and joy with every note. Yet beneath the glittering gown, the commanding stage presence, and the universal acclaim, there was a side of Aretha few ever glimpsed, a deeply sensual, intensely human woman whose heart was as complex as her music. For decades, whispers circled about the men who touched her life, some quietly, others with fiery intensity, and a few whose presence left marks invisible to the public eye. These weren't fleeting romances. They were deep connections with artists who understood genius, the weight of creativity, and the fragile vulnerability hidden behind a superstar's armor. In her final years, Aretha spoke with candid honesty about the relationships that shaped her, not just as a performer, but as a woman who loved fully, passionately, without compromise. What emerges is a portrait of intimacy, devotion, and desire, revealing the human soul beneath the legend. 1. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke entered Aretha's life like a spark that refused to die. While the world saw a young singer on the rise, Aretha found in him a mirror for her own intensity, a man whose charm and confidence matched her own fire. They met in the early 1960s at a gospel festival, two rising stars navigating ambition, faith, and a world eager to define them. From the first conversation, there was an undeniable chemistry, a connection that transcended music and touched something primal within her. Their affair was brief, yet intense, a series of stolen moments in hotel rooms, late-night conversations, and unguarded laughter that neither fame nor expectation could dilute. Sam didn't attempt to dominate her. He met her as an equal, honoring both her artistry and her womanhood. With him, Aretha discovered a passion that was raw and unrestrained, a freedom she could surrender to without fear. Those circumstances eventually pulled them apart. The lessons lingered. Sam taught her that love could ignite fully, burn brightly, and leave a mark, even if it was fleeting. 3. Ray Charles. If Sam was fire, Ray Charles was the quiet depth beneath it, a man who saw Aretha in ways the world never could. Their paths crossed in Atlanta, a meeting of musical titans whose souls seemed to recognize one another instantly. Ray's genius wasn't just in his music. It was in his ability to perceive the essence of a person, to understand vulnerability, and to connect on levels unseen. For Aretha, this was intoxicating. Their bond was as much spiritual as it was romantic, a meeting of minds that transcended physical desire. Together, they would sit for hours, letting music flow freely, improvising melodies that never reached a recording studio but lived forever in memory. Their love was patient, profound, and complex, interlaced with long absences as touring pulled them apart, yet never weakening the intensity of their connection. Ray's blindness added a dimension that deepened intimacy. He felt her presence in ways sight could never capture, tracing her voice, her heartbeat, her very being. With Ray, Aretha learned that understanding and being understood could be the greatest form of love. 4. Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye arrived in Aretha's life like a storm. Young, intense, and utterly captivated by her presence. Unlike the fleeting passions of the past, Marvin brought a hunger that matched Aretha's own, a desire not only to love her, but to build a life intertwined with hers. They met at a Motown event in the late 1960s, where Marvin's admiration for her artistry was immediate and palpable. His devotion was relentless. Letters, flowers, whispered promises of a shared future. He wanted permanence, a partnership of souls as well as music. Aretha, however, recognized the shadows behind his intensity, the demons that had haunted Marvin long before she arrived. While their love was tender and electric, she understood she could not be a savior, nor could she sacrifice her own autonomy. Yet, in the weeks they shared behind closed doors, they created music and memories that burned with raw intimacy. Marvin treated her body like a sacred instrument, every touch deliberate, every glance reverent. Though the affair ended, it left an indelible impression, a lesson in devotion, passion, and the fine line between love and self-preservation. 5. Stevie Wonder. Where Marvin's love was intense, Stevie Wonder brought laughter, lightness, and an effortless charm that made Aretha feel alive in new ways. Meeting at a benefit concert in Los Angeles, Stevie's playful wit and radiant energy captivated her immediately. Their connection was different, less about raw passion, more about understanding, creativity, and shared joy. Stevie pursued Aretha with gentle persistence, inviting her into studio sessions, creating music together that crackled with magic, and showing admiration for both her artistry and her complex humanity. Their love was intimate yet respectful, a delicate balance between desire and freedom. Stevie never sought to control her. He celebrated her independence, her ambition, and her fierce sense of self. In moments behind the scenes, laughter mixed with soft touches, playful teasing blending with profound emotional resonance. With Stevie, Aretha discovered that love could be a dance, joyful, electrifying, and without the weight of expectation. Even after their romance ended, the respect and warmth remained, leaving her with memories of a connection that was as much about shared spirit as it was about intimacy. 6. Barry White. Barry White entered Aretha's life at a time when she longed for simplicity and devotion, a love unburdened by fame or expectation. By the 1970s, she had experienced passion, intensity, and deep connection, but Barry offered something different. Pure admiration for her as a woman, not as a legend. His presence was magnetic, his voice liquid velvet, and his attention unwavering. They met at a music event, and from the start, his pursuit was open, sincere, and unabashed. Their relationship was deeply physical, a celebration of desire without complication. Barry had a rare gift. He made Aretha feel seen, cherished, and worshipped in a way that transcended the ordinary. Nights were spent in stolen moments, shared glances, and tender intimacy, a reprieve from the weight of her crown as the Queen of Soul. While they never sought permanence, their time together left an enduring mark. Aretha cherished the way he could simply adore her presence, allowing her to revel in being fully wanted, fully alive, and completely human, a love that existed solely for the beauty of the moment. 7. Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross approached Aretha with a quiet devotion that stood in contrast to the fiery intensity of her past loves. By the 1980s, he was already an accomplished artist, yet he treated her with the reverence of someone standing before a living legend. Their connection began platonically, a meeting of minds and musical souls, but it gradually deepened into intimacy. Luther was gentle, deliberate, and profoundly aware of the weight of being with the Queen of Soul. Every touch, every word carried care, a recognition of her humanity beyond the stage. For Aretha, his love was grounding, soft, nurturing, and unassuming. He admired not just her voice, but her resilience, her artistry, and her refusal to compromise herself. Their affair may have been brief, but it was deeply meaningful. Luther's tenderness reminded her that love could exist without fire and spectacle, that intimacy could be sacred, patient, and enduring in its quiet way. Even after their romantic involvement ended, he maintained a lifelong respect and admiration, carrying their shared connection in his heart with grace and discretion. 8. Isaac Hayes. In the later chapters of her life, Aretha found in Isaac Hayes a connection that was both passionate and profoundly understanding. By the time they met, both were in their 50s, seasoned by careers, heartbreaks, and lessons in love. Isaac carried a presence that was impossible to ignore, tall, commanding, and exuding a calm confidence that complemented Aretha's fire. Their bond was intimate, emotional, and respectful, a partnership of equals who had earned the right to love without pretense. Isaac never demanded she compromise her independence. He celebrated it, matching her strength with his own. Together, They shared stolen moments in hotel rooms, laughter-filled conversations, and deep, soulful intimacy that transcended the physical. Their love was private, cherished, and remarkably enduring, a testament to connection in its purest form. When Isaac passed, Aretha mourned quietly, holding the memory of their love close to her heart. In her final years, she reflected on the men who had shaped her life, not as conquests or gossip, but as mirrors, teachers, and companions who had seen her fully. Sam ignited her passion. Ray revealed depth and understanding. Marvin offered devotion and intensity. Stevie brought joy and playfulness. Barry celebrated her as a woman. Luther honored her with tenderness. Isaac granted peace and acceptance. Together, they painted the portrait of a woman who was more than the queen of soul. She was human, sensual, loving, and unafraid to embrace life in all its complexity. Aretha Franklin's legacy was not only in her music, but in the courage to love fully, to be seen, and to live authentically until the very end.